Welcome back. President Biden on day 2 of his first foreign trip as president ahead of the G7 summit in Cornwall, England. Biden meeting today with UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson.
So the two are expected to sign an accord dealing with a number of issues, and the media treating Biden and Johnson as though they're FDR and Winston Churchill. Watch. This is from MSNBC this morning.
This document blueprinted for all the world the fundamental freedoms to which the two great English-speaking nations pledged themselves as their goal in war and peace.
All right, again.
Churchill signed the Atlantic Charter. President Biden and Prime Minister Boris Johnson today will sign a 21st century version of that historic accord.
A cheery open there. That's how the show opened. For a look at whether Roosevelt and Churchill in the World War II era is a fair comparison, let's bring in our panelists. Bob Barr, chairman of Liberty Guard and a former Republican congressman from Georgia, and Mark Halpern, political analyst. Rebecca Walser joining us, president of Walser Wealth Management. Thank you all for being here today. I will start with Halpern specifically on this one. Biden and Johnson to sign an accord to deal with a number of things. The media's comparison there, and again, all we did was play that right from that cable network, comparing this to FDR and Churchill. Is that realistic? How do you read that?
I think we're a little bit short of that benchmark at this point. These are different times, and Joe Biden is not a figure who's driving history on the global stage, anything like what we saw during that period. At the same time, this is a different attitude, a different administration, and the Europeans, for the most part, are going to be in sync with a lot of the American media in celebrating this visit, even if it doesn't produce very much.
Well, I think a lot of people are more curious as to what's going to happen towards the end of the visit when President Biden is set to meet with Vladimir Putin. And in fact, Biden and First Lady Jill Biden, they spoke to British soldiers at a military base yesterday. Here's a preview that Biden gave about next week's meeting. Watch.
I'm heading to the G7, then to the NATO ministerial, and then to meet with Mr. Putin to let him know what I want him to know.
Kind of hard to make out there. Let him know what I want him to know. Bob Barr, perhaps this sounds tough from President Biden here in light of the recent Russian ransom hacks of U.S.-based businesses. What do you anticipate the president actually speaking with Putin about?
Well, it's always very hard to tell, and I'm not quite sure why that was an applause line. They might have had a big applause sign go off behind the president, so the troops there applauded. There was nothing funny about it. It was absolutely meaningless. The essence of what the president is going to do with Putin remains to be seen. But I suspect that Putin, who is perhaps the craftiest leader on the world stage today with his extensive KGB background and as a master at manipulating Americans and people from other countries as well, will not relay anything to President Biden of significance. And I suspect that he probably will not take President Biden very seriously. So I don't expect much to come out of it. But the two of them getting together, nothing wrong with that, but I don't expect much.
Rebecca, Jill Biden made a speech to the soldiers, U.S. soldiers as well. Here's how she prepared. I'll get your reaction after this.
Joe, pay attention.
A lighter note there, but then this. Sitting at the president's desk on Air Force One, tweeting this out, a photo op here saying, quote, prepping for the G7. If she was prepping at the presidential desk, where was the president? That's what a lot of folks on Twitter were wondering. Rebecca, your thoughts?
It's just, Sean, what do you say? I mean, if we had the same things happening in our country right now with the Trump family in office, the media would be going berserk. Who does this person think they are? They are not the elected representative. So, it just speaks to the fact that America is aware and nobody's hiding the fact that we've got cognitive problems with this administration. And this is Jill Biden preparing for the G7 as an unelected, who knows what her philosophies are person should be a shame for everybody. It's scary.
Well, we did hear from the president, and he's got a better idea as to what Intel is telling him about the greatest threat to U.S. security these days, and here's what he said. Let's listen.
When I first was elected vice president, President Obama, the military sat us down to let us know what the greatest threats facing America are, the greatest physical threats. This is not a joke. You know what the Joint Chiefs told us the greatest threat facing America was? Global warming. Because there'll be significant population movements, fights over land, millions of people leaving.
Again, if you could make that out, global warming, climate change, the greatest threat. And yet, Mark Halpern, we heard just last week or so that it was white supremacy was the greatest threat here. Where is he getting this information? What is he citing specifically?
Well, he said he was citing the Pentagon. I think this debate right now is not so much between the two parties, but it's been the Democratic Party. Most of the Democratic Party would like to see a massive effort in 2021 to deal with climate change. But there are lots of people, including some who are being quiet for now, who don't want to see that. So as the Democrats think about using reconciliation to try to deal with infrastructure plus, not just infrastructure, this fight's going to be big. And I think the extent he's addressing an audience there, it's not necessarily the folks in Europe, it's the folks here back at home where he's trying to referee within his own party on this issue.
I wonder if that will stick for next week as well. We'll wait and see. Mark Halperin, Rebecca Walser, Bob Barr, stick around. We've got another topic to get to.
Yeah.